Inside the Birds is back. What's up, everybody? Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan here for our middle of the week podcast game breakdown, our film review, and it's a win. We get to review an Eagles win, a pretty convincing win, 30-13 win in Denver over the Broncos. And man, it's kind of funny, Adam. We did the show Monday night on the Fanatic. It was good to be back on for 2 hours again. No Sixers or Flyers conflicts, and a happy fan base. But it's like it took only 20 hours, less than 24 hours for people to get into the whole Miles Sanders and what kind of role should he have going forward. It's like, man, you go out and win a game in Denver by 17 points after you haven't won there since 1989, and then your last 3 games there, you got blown out by an average of 28 points. And the first thing you want to talk about is whether Miles Sanders deserves to be the starting running back or not if he's back.
It's so, folks. I hate to break one of the nuggets that I got from someone. Really good stuff. Said that he wasn't chart. This guy did advance on the Eagles. He didn't chart how many. He didn't tell me over the phone how many yards, but he said there's no question. Mm-hmm. We're getting. I'll just give you a nugget before we get to the running backs and the breakdown of the offense. Mm-hmm. To say that they left yards on the field, I know it sounds crazy. They ran for 214 yards. I know it sounds absurd. He said Jordan Howard, it looked good, obviously. Jordan Howard left yards on the ground because he's not explosive. He was decisive, and his zone cuts were good, but he left yards on the field. He goes, Miles Sanders probably would have had over 200 yards in this game if he played. Right. Because the Eagles' offensive line, it was very similar to Detroit. Just crushed him, but he just said in terms of running after running, just the run. Howard had 45 yards on 3 carries in the fourth quarter, I think. Mm-hmm. But some of his runs earlier where he clearly could have exploded because he's just not that type of back. Right. Miles Sanders would have crushed it. He might have gone one for taken to the house. That just shows you A, how great their line was, and B, that's what they miss. I like the guy on Twitter is like, they don't want to ruin a good thing now, so why bring Sanders back? I mean, this is the absurdity of the fandom.
I mean, really? There are some strange comments. It's like
there's some hate for Sanders. Why?
I don't know. It's the same fan base, right? That in 2017 saw a good thing, quote unquote, ruined when you added Jay Ajayi to the mix of running backs.
Did they say that then?
No, I'm just pointing out an obvious time where you added something to whatever was already working. You added another good piece. That's the key. You're adding a good functional piece, and it became better. It's, the idea that this is working, don't change it because we're going to do this every single game and nobody's ever going to stop us is also a little bit far-fetched. I mean, at some point, and it might be Sunday against the Saints who have the number 1 rush defense, you're going to need a little bit more from your running backs. You're going to need a little bit more explosion. You're going to need a dynamic runner. And I think you're just adding by bringing Miles Sanders back. And people have also kind of overstated how many runs of his go for negative yards. He is not a guy who's like 50-50, either a home run or behind the line of scrimmage. In fact, to really go back to the Eagles' run game, the origins of the new run game, it started in Las Vegas. I think people forgot that. They ran under center that first drive. And they did a really good job. And Miles Sanders, before he got hurt, ran the ball 5 times for 30 yards, right? And he looked like a beast in that running game. And then he got hurt, and then the game got out of control. But people forgot that. They act like it started against the Lions, but it really was intended to start and continue against the Raiders. It's just that game got out of hand so fast for them. But Miles Sanders ran really well. So we'll get into the running game a little more. And I just thought it was funny.
A lot more. We got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot more. Yeah, forget about enjoying the win.
It could take 3 hours. Yeah, it could take 3 hours after you break this down. We'll break it in 45 minutes. I've got pretty detailed notes.
Good.
It's fun. It's funny on the our pregame show. I felt kind of sheepish. Not only did all 5 of us pick the game wrong. Me, you, Yvonne, and Cosell and Q. Yeah. We were 0 for 5. I the first time ever in the 2 years that we've done our pregame show, I think we talked about Denver more than the Eagles in that game. I remember saying, man, why do we devote so much time to Denver? It was just natural. What can you do? Not a lot of that, what we do is not planned on that pregame show.
Right.
But I felt funny. I was like, man, if Denver doesn't win, we're going to look like chumps. We're chumps.
I think we hit enough Eagles angles. Yeah, no, it was funny because Denver created what we thought was going to be a lot of matchup issues with both their running
Yeah.
game and their tall receivers. And of course, what they do defensively is fairly unique. So it was, we did spend a lot of time on that, but it was more from an X's and O's standpoint. So, but the
Sure.
Eagles were on a roll. So listen, we've been getting some feedback, Adam, you know this, about our pregame show that you just mentioned. And people want to be able to hear it, especially people who are out tailgating or doing things in the morning and are not able to hear the show but want to. So we're going to try to meet people halfway here. What we're going to do, and we started it already with the last one against Denver last Sunday, is we're going to put the pregame show on the podcast feed. So if you're already a subscriber to Inside the Birds podcast, it's just going to naturally appear on your feed. It's going to be uploaded as soon as the show is done. So that we finish around noon, it'll probably be up 15 minutes after. And if you miss it and you can't watch it on YouTube and you're in your car, you're tailgating, you want to put it on, you can do that. It'll be up there. It'll be up there 15 minutes after its conclusion about. So that way you'll get to hear Greg Cosell's breakdowns, also Jason Avant, Quentin Michael. And one thing we know, Adam, is that a lot of what we break down, the X's and O's, they come into fruition during the game. So even if you listen to it after the game, you'll wind up kind of it's almost like its own post-game show along with a pre-game show, because you're like, oh, Greg said this about that guy and it actually happened. And so it's good. So and we got a lot of good response from putting the last one up on our podcast feed. So we're going to continue to do it.
Yeah, a couple things. In I don't know, I was not aware this is being done, and I don't think I got a alert. I mean, you subscribe, you get an alert to your phone, but I just happened to check. I was looking at our traffic on Tuesday, and I go, "Whoa, wait! We posted the show, because you can get it on demand immediately on YouTube or Facebook, but we put it on Podform, and we got 4,000 downloads in like 5 hours. I'm like, holy bleep! Okay, that alert. As you said earlier, people will listen on their way to the game, because remember, we're the only pregame show that does it. Well, for a 4:00 game, we're really early, but we do it the same time every week. I think we're the first pregame show to hit from 10 a to 12 p Eastern time, no matter what. The Eagles don't have any late games anymore. This was the Denver game was the last one, unless they get that Washington game. The one of the two Washington games, they've not decided what time it's going to be. It's on December 19th.
Right.
But anyway, you can now you'll be able to get the show on demand, as Geoff said, on the pod version very quickly. We'll get it up quickly, but you could also get it immediately on Facebook and YouTube. And this is what you guys want. You clearly want, by the traffic numbers, you guys want this on the pod version. So we're here to help you.
We are here to please. We are also here to give you content on InsideTheBirds.com. Adam's power rankings are up for the week. There's been some movement. The Eagles were one of the big jumpers I saw in your power rankings as far as how many slots
they jumped
up with their win. Yeah, you had to do it. And obviously you got a new number one because there have been some major upsets that just nobody saw coming over the last 2 weeks. So everybody should check out Adam's power rankings.
I'm a jinx. Anytime I put a team at number one, they lose. I think every time. I feel bad for the team. This team that I put at number one is debuting for the first time at number one. So they probably will lose this week. Are they playing this week? Yes, they are.
Eagles fans are probably like, Adam, could you do us a good and put the Cowboys number one?
Right, exactly. I'll give you a hint. They're not there, but very few complaints. The only one was some team that I had off. Some guy said, how can you move a team up? I was like, no, what happened was I moved other teams above them, and they just somehow moved up one. I mean, it's not like they're moving up. People can find anything to play. I know it happens. What are you going to do? I was laughing.
So please be a subscriber to InsideTheBirds.com. It's free. Get your RSS feed going straight to your reader, and you can check out stories by Adam, myself. I have a column up on the run game and how good it's been, but everything has a limit, and at some point they're going to have to open it up. We talked about that Monday night a little bit. And start to get the passing game going. Not going to be able to win too many more games, I think, going forward, where your quarterback only throws 3 passes in the second half as the season goes on. And Andrew DeCecco has been writing great stories there.
Great stuff
as well.
Yep.
All right, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the podcast. Of course, we're going to remind you to get an advantage over your sportsbook by downloading BetQL, the only app you'll need to make smart bets. Their best bet computer model scans over 350,000 unique bets a year to give you a best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports and the reason why you should make the bet. Their model covers spreads, over-unders, player prop bets. If you don't want to use the model, if you like to do research, BetQL's got the necessary tools for your research needs, from sharp data to line movement, team summaries, lineup and injury breaking news, and even a leaderboards to track your success. So go to the App Store or Google Play Store now. Download BetQL. You can also go to the website try.betql.co/ITB to get started. Just enter the promo code ITB at checkout for 25% off their subscription offerings. And you can also check out their sportsbook offers page if you live in one of the eligible states to claim free offers upon signing up at one of the many sportsbooks listed. So don't miss out on the chance to beat your sportsbook this football season using BetQL. All right, Adam, let's start off with just a few of the transactions that have gone on. And I always find this really, sort of the protection thing is shocking to me. Like, you have the opportunity to protect 4 players regardless. There's no limit to it. There's limit on elevations, but not protections. And yet they only chose for the second straight week to protect 3 players: John Hightower, LaRaven Clark, and Brett Toth. Just so strange to me. I don't know why.
Well, you mean in terms of 4 versus 3, you mean?
Yeah, well, like, why wouldn't you just protect someone just in case?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, is there? I don't know if there's another guy they're worried about losing, but yeah, I mean that could certainly happen. But yeah, Hightower and the 2 tackles. And Hightower's that one guy. If somebody gets hurt, he's clearly the guy. You know, we saw when Arcega-Whiteside couldn't play, he was called up. You know, they elevated him. But yeah, so that's it. No. This might be the first time all season on a Wednesday morning they didn't make one transaction on Monday and Tuesday, which is interesting. And then the injury situation is what we thought it was. Goddard's got the concussion. We'll see if he can get on the practice field by Friday. You know, they're back. They have a normal practice week: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday walkthrough, home game, then off the fly, which is important when you have a concussion. Josh Sweat. Hey, listen, Josh Sweat was cleared Saturday, from what I understand. From what I understand, before they flew, Saturday night, or whatever, late afternoon. So, and then we got to see what happens with Miles Sanders later today to see if they designate him for return. Right. Once they do that, he's got the 21 days. So we'll see with his injury, and if they do designate him this week. You would do it, by the way, if he's ready to go, you do it Wednesday. You don't wait till Friday. You would do it so he can get him out there at practice. Right. That's it.
All right. Well, that makes sense, and we will see. Just have to figure out. You hope that Dallas Goedert can make it. I mean, you hope everybody can make it back, and you hope Goddard's feeling well. But we talked about Monday night how, you know, this wide receiver / pass catcher group looks a whole lot different if you just take one decent guy like Dallas Goedert away, because then it becomes, you know, it's like Devontae Smith and who else is going to step up? Because right now they're pretty much a 2-person passing game or receiving game with Goedert and Devontae Smith. They have to figure that part out in general.
Oh, one thing. Richard Rodgers is on the practice squad. So on your point, that's what I don't understand. Why would you not protect Rodgers? Because if Goedert is not available, and what if someone offers him a deal? They cannot protect him. Now he's free to go. You can't block anyone.
Right.
Once the protections are in, the deadline is Tuesday for teams to play it on Sunday.
Yep.
It's a little surprising. You make a good point on that. I'm surprised that they didn't do that. Maybe they know. Maybe they've obviously they have access to Goddard and how he's feeling. But we'll see. That clearly was a penalty, by the way. It should have been a penalty. I understand Sirianni being diplomatic.
Right.
Simmons would not be dirty, but the fact of the matter is he elbowed him to his head. That's a penalty.
Yeah. And by the way, you know, we've seen twice now this year somebody get hurt in practice on a Thursday or Friday. It was Jordan Mailata, who got his knee rolled on. Remember earlier in the year?
Oh, Mailata got the MCL sprain. Yeah.
Right. And then Andre Dillard last week. So that's another reason. How about the injury that you can't predict that might happen? Now, you have a 4th guy that you can protect even in case of an injury. And I'm just surprised that they don't, again, whether it's Richard Rodgers or somebody else, a cornerback, a safety, you never know who's going to get hurt in practice. And you would like to be able to have a guy protected.
As you said on our Monday show, I forgot they do have Togiai, so they'll be okay. Okay, I'm mistaken. They do have Togiai on there.
But I mean, honestly, Noah Togiai has a nice story, but you would much rather have Richard Rodgers.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes, because he's experienced and he shocked us last year with the yards per catch. Still amazing how, not that he caught a lot of passes, but they were generally over 10 yards, so that was good. But
Right.
It's for now. Slay went down, got up. For the life of me, I have no idea why he was in late in the game. That was a mistake. He should not have been in. Should have pulled him.
Yeah, there were a couple of guys I thought they could have pulled really late.
Yeah. And we'll see. Dickerson, who had a tremendous game. You saw him go down, and he came. He stayed in.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if they list him on the injury report this week. Kelsey, obviously, he left for a couple plays, and Herbert, came in and had the bad snap. Kelsey came back, but overall, we're not expecting any surprises with injuries. Then again, though, we didn't know about Anthony Harris coming out of one of the games with the double hand injury. So
right,
who knows?
There you go. All right, let's get into the tape review and the intel that we've gotten. We'll start with offense like we usually do. I want to start with Jalen Hurts. And before we kind of get to sourced evaluation, I'm just going to give you something that really stood out to me that I forgot to mention in the post-game pod that I really liked. I talked about how the fact that while, the adjustment, another adjustment was made in their offensive game plan when running the ball, they played a lot more shotgun and didn't do as much under center running as they had done the week before, which is good. The opponent is looking at you, figuring out what you're doing good, and you try to change it up. What I also thought was really good, Adam, there were about 4 or 5 plays where they designed rolling out Jalen Hurts out of the pocket, almost moving the protection with him, right? Mm-hmm. And one of them was on the touchdown, of course, to Devontae Smith. But we know that Vic Fangio likes to disguise. He likes to blitz up the middle. He likes to do different things. And even though Jalen's mobile, they don't take that for granted. They get him flowing that way, and then design the routes to cross that way as well. I thought that was good coaching, a good example of something that works.
Yeah. So overall, very solid game. Almost exclusively in shotgun. It did have a feel of the college offense again, but the run scheme was different.
Right.
O-line was dominant. I got to tell you, very similar to the Detroit game. This is college holes open. This is not. You don't see these kind of holes open again, and particularly against. They're not even 3/4 as talented as the Saints line, but they're still very stout. They're very disciplined against the run. The Broncos usually are. Mm-hmm. And remember now, they're doing without both starting guards, Brandon Brooks, who, quite frankly, we brought this up a month ago, 3 weeks ago. If Dickerson continued to improve, he may not get his job back. Mm-hmm. No one's telling us this. We're just reasoning here. Why would you take Dickerson out when he's playing this dominantly?
Right.
So
then, of course, Isaac Seumalo got hurt, right? So he doesn't have
right. Isaac's done for the year. Right.
Yeah.
Right, and they're doing this without both starting guards, and they're just feeling it. They're just dominant right now. The run scheme is terrific. Stoutland, Sirianni, and Jamal Singleton, who were putting this together, obviously, mostly Stoutland with his run game design. It's just it's terrific, and they've got it going on. Their technique is really good. They got edged a little bit every now and then, not a lot, but a little bit, where they gave up pressure. But Hurts really handled it well. Gainwell missed that block on the interception. Mm-hmm. Some people would argue he shouldn't have thrown it. That's a tough call. But
well, it looked like he was trying. It looked like he was prepared to throw the ball just before the pressure got into his face.
The guy got
the pressure. The pressure changed
got his hand up
of the throw. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct. 100%. Good call. Yeah. Yep. Okay. This is from a quarterback coach who this is probably one of the best things I've gotten on quarterbacks. This explains what Jalen Hurts was doing. This guy didn't see the tape, but he just explained to me what I said to him. I said, "Hey, this is what was told me. What do you make of this?" He said, "It's called feel it, don't see it." Mm-hmm. You don't. Let me make this clear. I'm not comparing to Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, but this is what makes them special. They never see the rush. They feel it. They play with a clock in their head. This is the first game as a professional that he's done this.
I agree. I thought he
several plays,
the pocket several times instead of fleeing it. Yeah,
and he never that what you said, and he just played with this innate sense of, okay, I got to move now. Unlike the guy who played on the other side, Teddy Bridgewater, who, using Cosell's term, got muddied or stuck in the pocket. Hurts was not stuck at all. We cannot make any predictions game to game with him. You can't. You need 4 or 5 great games in a row, or very good games in a row, to say, okay, he's arrived, or, boy, he looks like he's there.
Right.
We need to see more of this, but this was a very big jump for him. Mm-hmm. Again, we don't know what's going to happen against the Saints, but he felt it. He never saw the rush. For the most part, that's a quarterback coaching term, which I love. I'm going to keep using this because this is exactly what Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, where you see Brady manipulate the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's like in a boxing ring with the feet. And Hurts it was something. I was able to see the coach tape on Tuesday to see what this guy was telling me about it, just explaining how quarterbacks see this stuff.
Yeah.
He says we teach, feel it, do not see it. And you got to know when to move. And it was just really cool to see this.
Yeah, no doubt about it. By the way, I don't know why this popped into my head as you talked about the feel it but don't see it. Did you hear Frank Reich's very long explanation on how he feels about Carson Wentz throwing like a left-handed type pass? Like,
I have the quotes. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you're gonna get crap if you
really well.
Right. I thought that was great. So what Reich said is that basically he goes, look, we don't want you to do that, but understand if you do it, you're going to have to get in front of the media and explain why you did it. Right. I thought that was just kind of funny the way he explained it. Also with Hurts, footwork, timing, you're playing with the clock in his head, seeing the field better. Okay. One of his biggest challenges, and it's been a major problem up until a couple weeks ago, was how many throws he missed that were there where you would not get it to the pass target. It wasn't just Devontae Smith. Rager sometimes, Goddard sometimes. Yep. As we know, Rager's simply not getting the ball. Of course, Watkins at times. Just when he struggles, he doesn't see the field well. This game, boy, did he see it well.
Right.
He had it going on. It's too bad Goddard got hurt because both plays to Goddard, the throws were great. Mm-hmm. The one he got hurt was just brilliant. Just the way that he moved. And he had one to Watkins where the pocket broke down and he could have easily thrown it out of bounds or just try to run. He didn't. I know he ran the ball a lot, but over half of them were design runs. But overall, it's very hard to criticize him in this game. It's good to see this kind of growth because at times he just hurt the football team with not making throws, and we all know that. Even I think Jalen Hurts fans will admit that he had not played particularly well this season. But the last two games was spotty. Obviously, the first game of the season was. You never want to say it was easy, but they made it easy as they could on him to get it out of his hands quickly. And Atlanta didn't know what to expect. And then it steadily went downhill. Selected plays looked good. And then you fast forward to the Charger game. Really good, like in terms of improvement, making good decisions. And then this game, the Arizona game was different last year. It was a different situation. They were behind. He showed that he could come back. This season, he's not been able to bring the team back when they're behind for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. But this game, I know they got ahead. I know the run game was great, but that was not why. That was part of why he did well because he had a run game to support it, which we've said he needs.
Yep.
But just throwing from a muddy pocket and timing and not bailing, man. This is growth.
No doubt about it. I think there were two underrated elements to this as well. You mentioned really quickly one of it. The run game design. Is Jeff Stoutland's job, and he's doing his job pretty well. Now, I still think they tend to just line it up and run. Although I did see some more. There was more motion.
Not this game. They did
more motion. You're right. There was more.
They did a lot of different stuff.
They moved the guards a little bit. They did do a lot. That's true.
They did some different stuff this game. You are right though. A lot of like the Detroit game was just beat that bleep out of them. Right. Try not to curse on the show, but. This game has because typically the problem earlier this season was when they were doing strictly college offense. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of imagination, and you nailed it earlier here. Okay, so they did very few plays of Hurts under center because they'd shown so much of him in shotgun, not even half the game, but a good amount where they did a good mixture of both. And maybe as we said, you can't run all the time, so they said, okay, well we're going to run. But we're going to do it in a different way because you didn't think we would do that. And I'll tell you what, another thing, Hurts handled the blitz packages well.
Well, that's the second thing I wanted to. But I thought that was great preparation. That there's a symmetry here, right, between the quarterback, the offensive coordinator, in this case, the play caller, which is Nick Sirianni. Yeah. Well, you could throw Steichen in, and even Kevin Patullo.
Sure.
To me, and I can't, without having visuals to see here and show it to you. I paid a lot of attention to what kind of routes were being run against certain pressures because Vic Fangio blitzed a lot in the first half. And I thought there were the entire brain trust there did a very good job, of building in a diverse set of routes, but specifically quick, easy cross, like shallow crosses or almost like a hot route type routes where you don't see the signal, like the quarterback rolling his arms against, but they already know the blitz is coming. It's already built in there that somebody is going to break quickly in, sit down in that zone, and catch the ball for Jalen Hurts. And I thought you saw that in the first half really well. So good job. I mean, that takes not only the coaching and the preparation, but then from the quarterback to recognize who that person's going to be against which blitz it's going to happen. So great job top to bottom there.
On that, what you just said, they run I'm pretty sure it was a smoke route. That's when only the receiver and the quarterback know whatever the play design is, they junk it. And if the corner's off, it's a 2 or 3 step drop. So what happened is not Miles Sanders, 35 Scott was lined up to the left outside flank,
right? And
he threw it to him, and Devontae Smith was in the slot because the corner was far off, and he threw it right to him. It was an 8-yard gain. It was, and also the beautiful design of the screen to Scott. Hurts played it perfectly, waited for the offensive lineman to come and get him. He threw it to Scott for 16 yards.
Right.
Still want to see more screens. That needs to come back. They're not doing enough of them, but that was a great one. You're right. You nailed this. The coaches are doing a great job on offense. So is Gannon. Gannon had maybe one of his best games that he's called. But I really liked the designs, and it just the offensive line. I don't even know what to tell you, man. This is pretty amazing. When is the last time you can remember? Maybe our listeners could remember
a team rushing for 600 yards in 3 weeks. I don't think I can ever.
190.25 over the last 4 games. But I'm just saying, not just the yardage. Look at these holes for these running backs. It's unbelievable. This is NFL, really, not college.
It feels like college. You're right, where you just see games like Ohio State. They just they fall forward and they get 10 yards when they run.
Right?
It's unbelievable. It does feel that way, you wonder is anybody going to be able to stop this? I mean, you would think
this week
in Denver.
Yeah, the Saints. The Saints have the number 1 rush defense. Well, it's really Tampa Bay and New Orleans. New Orleans does not have the schedule that is just not faced a lot of good run backs. Barkley did well, and then he got hurt in that New Orleans game.
Right, but they have good. They're generally a pretty good.
Their line is great.
Good run personnel. Yeah.
They're exactly. Their linebacker core is one of the best in the league, and we'll get to that for Friday's show. But Kenny Gainwell's usage, I'm not nitpicking. This is just a fact. I don't quite understand why he's not getting the ball.
You're nitpicking.
I know. Yeah, but don't you think he should get the ball? I love this guy. Why is
Jalen Reagor's not getting the ball? He makes a really
That's
nice
another one. I know that. Well, his 12-yard catch was explosive. But let's get back to Gainwell. Why is he not getting the ball?
Because the quarterback threw 3 passes in the second half, Adam. First of all, Kenny Gainwell's a running back.
The screen game. No, I'm just saying all year. Where's the screen game with this guy?
I still think this, of all the things that are going well offensively, right? We still haven't seen a ton of screen game yet. We're seeing it a little bit more.
I know.
But they're just running the ball so well. It's like,
I know. That's my guy, man. I want to see him get the ball. But anyway, in space.
Well, I'm curious what kind of role because he missed a block on a blitz pickup in this game. And, we already knew that was going to be his kind of
he's a smaller guy.
Rookie. He's a smaller guy, and he doesn't do a lot. Didn't do it at all in college. So
it's
an interesting thing. There's a Kenneth Gainwell cult that you might be the leader.
I know. I know. I didn't. By the way, for the guy who gave me credit for them. No, he said he goes. You obviously knew they were going to draft. Well, I had no idea the Eagles liked the game because there was a show after that. What was he, a 5th round pick?
He was.
Our post-draft show for that round for whatever rounds 4 through 7.
Yep.
No, he was a guy that we liked leading up to the draft. I was hoping they would draft him because I thought he could fit in well here.
Yeah.
Look, it's just odd that he gets these goal line carries.
It is very odd, but they work. He tends to score on them.
Yeah, I know. It's like, how do you predict that? Anyway.
All right, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code ITB. Bet $1 on either NFL team to score, and you can win $100 in free bets. That's right. If that NFL team scores, that's it. They score, you score with promo code ITB this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's an official sports betting partner of the NFL. There's another announcement we wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah, we're going to continue to answer some questions whenever we can on our podcast because now we're doing more interviews with ITB. So we will do some Ask ITB. We'll get them into either the game preview pod or another podcast. But if you want to ask us a question, please submit it through the Apple Podcast reviews. You just ask us a question, but you got to give us a 5-star rating. You give us a 5-star rating, we will answer your question. I promise.
As many as you got.
Do it on
Apple. Give it up.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll be happy to do it. Oh, and I'm just going to say, we answered the two.
Not everybody listens on Apple, Adam. So I want to say we'll do it on YouTube as well. If
gotcha.
you leave a comment section in the episode.
We took 2 from our message board, which we both, Geoff and I, answered on our show on the Fanatic on Monday night, which you could get archived. They got it up there on the app on the website. I just wanted to add that. So and it is funny, and it's a fair. There was very fair question. 2 guys actually asked a similar question in a different way, but the issue, because the running game, is how does Jeffrey Lurie feel about this? Will he get involved and will he micromanage it? In their own way, the way that they asked it. Because we know it's been out there. We everybody knows. All Eagle fans know that the owner wants them to throw the football and not run it as much. But again, it's working. It's helping Hurts. It's just the offensive line is maybe the most dominant right now in the National Football League, particularly on the run. Their pass protection is good. They're very good. Not great. It's good. It's very good, but it's not as good as the run. The run blocking is something that that's what I was saying earlier. I can't remember a time. I know in 2017 they were really good, but this is pretty ridiculously great right now.
There's 2 things I think about this. It's as you're mentioning, this is a pretty special moment for an Eagle fan because the Eagles haven't played very good football this is year 2 now. They won 4 games last year.
Yeah.
They're 2 games under 500 this year. There just hasn't been a whole lot that you can say is very eye-pleasing football. To watch what we're watching in the running game, I mean, yeah, there are teams that run the ball well. New England runs the ball well. Baltimore runs the ball well. But we haven't seen something like this from an NFL team. Just absolute steamrolling, bulldozing of a run game to
Double
the point
team.
where you don't even have to pass the ball that much. That's right. That part is really special. So I've covered this league long enough, and you have too, to know that something this special doesn't last forever, right? So
no one's been ever done.
Right. Enjoy it now. I think it's great. As the journalist in me, the objective, the football analyst in me wonders when's going to be the counter to this, and how do the Eagles counter the counter? That I'm always thinking 2 games, 3 steps ahead, and because I just know it can't be like this forever. But it's sure fun to watch while it's going on. I mean, it's really something to behold.
Cool.
It's very rare. You can just say, "Look, guys, here's what we're going to do to you."
And you're not going to stop us.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah. That's pretty special.
I'd have to look at. I remember the Charger game when the Thunder almost broke the stadium. The whatever they call it now. I know it as the Home Depot Center in LA. Before
the StubHub building back then. Yeah.
StubHub. Yeah. Right. I was at a pro day back in 2003 or something, but. It's just really remarkable what they're doing. And as I said earlier, to be without both your starting guards and doing this, well, Landon Dickerson is an animal. He's ridiculously great.
Right.
And Jack, Jack, what's his last name?
Stoll.
What's Stoll? No. Jack Driscoll. I'm sorry. Jack Driscoll. Holy smokes, he's getting better. See, I wanted to mention this. There's a thought around the league. He would not be able to play guard because he's not strong enough.
Yep.
His technique is so good, I was told. His hand usage is so good. He's got hand usage of a guy who's been in the league 4 or 5 years. He knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. I certainly see why he's a teacher's pet. I mean, I know it's not a secret. The online coach loves the kid like he's his own son. I mean, it's really.
I'm telling you. Right?
I know.
For his first OTAs last year that this kid was going to be an interior offensive lineman.
I don't think people who would know were sure of this, but it's really, I'll tell you what, man, you and I were talking about this off the air. Mm-hmm. They develop, I think we might have said on the Fanatic Monday night, they develop linemen so well, maybe better than any other NFL team. If Brandon Brooks returns this season, they are so deep, knock on wood, if they don't get hurt, because Dillard now has shown he could play.
Right.
This Jack Anderson, I know the Bills were not happy that they lost him. I was told by a good Bill source. They were not happy that he was signed off the Eagles practice squad. They could have blocked it, but they just were not ready to elevate him. Herbig has been a good backup center guard. It's just they've got some guys here that can play. It's a pretty good job of development here.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the wide receivers before we finish off the offense.
Yes.
Not much outside of Devontae Smith being incredible and making the contested catch that we saw. Also a good formation to get him isolated against the linebacker there on his second touchdown.
No safety help. Right. What happened was Hurts saw immediately. He looked one way and then saw, might have been out of his left eye, that Smith they had no safety help on him, because if he did, they would have gone there. Mm-hmm. And he just hit it. It was just beautiful. Really good job there by Smith. And
absolutely. And by the way, I have so much respect for the coordinators in this league that love to cover zero when they're backed up in their own goal line. Because, you give up a touchdown like that, but sometimes you just annihilate the quarterback, cause a fumble, cause an interception. Sure. He has to throw it, who knows where. The Ravens do it all the time. They do it really well. In fact, if you remember, you know how I always have these like photographic memories. 2016, Carson Wentz's first year, the Eagles played the Ravens and they were losing by like 14 points, and then they score a touchdown, and then they go down and score a touchdown again, and Doug decides he's going to go for 2 instead of trying to tie the game, and the Ravens zero blitz, and they send everybody, and Carson tries to throw like an inside fade to Jordan Matthews, but the ball gets tipped because you're sending more than they can block, and somebody got their hands on there and batted it away, and it was pretty cool. So
I didn't remember that. Wow, you have a great memory, man. You and my buddy Joe DeCamera. I can't remember this stuff. Like
Joe's got a different kind of wacky photographic memory. But yeah, he's.
What's interesting about that game, and they lost 27-26. The Eagles actually pretty much dominated that thing. That's. Oh, I see. Wow, it's amazing some of the names in this game. Here's a name we've never mentioned before.
Ryan Matthews had a big game that day.
He did. Oh my! This is unbelievable. This is crazy. I totally forgot about this guy, Caleb Sturgis.
Oh yeah, the kicker.
He was. It is amazing. Kenny Dixon is out of the league now. Who was a running back. Also, Terrence West. 2 guys are out of the league now. Mike Wallace was with the Ravens then.
Mm-hmm.
Byron Marshall, who's out of the league, was he the second running back in that game? Yeah. Wow.
Amazing, right?
Really. Bryce Treggs now, who's I think training to be an agent.
Yep.
Dorial Dorial Green Beckham. Wow.
Good old DGB. Yeah, that was another big run game for Doug. I mean, I think he just kept pounding away with Ryan Matthews and maybe Smallwood. I forget who the other.
No, it was Byron Marshall. Was the second leading carry. Byron Marshall's a little guy, 9 carries.
Marshall? I don't even remember Byron Marshall for the Eagles.
Yeah, came from Oregon. I'm almost certain of it. Yeah.
Oh, you're thinking of not Byron Marshall. You're thinking of his name wasn't Byron Marshall. I know who you're thinking of. The short guy. He played for the Panthers.
That was. All right, hang on.
Now I know who you're talking about. His name, it might be Byron, but it was not Marshall.
It was definitely Marshall.
No, Kenyon Barner is who.
No. I'm right. No? I'm right. No. I'm looking at the box.
Marshall?
Yeah, Byron Marshall is 100% correct. Yep. Kenyon Barner did get in that game. He did get 3 carries for 6 yards. Byron Marshall, the little guy from Oregon, got 9 carries for 22 yards. And he also.
Holy cow! I totally forgot about Byron.
I remember because he's explosive. I think he might have had an ACL in college.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I remember he was with Washington after that, and I thought he's a little change-up guy. But man, you have a great memory. I cannot believe that Ryan Matthews had 20 for 128 against that defense.
Yeah, you want to know another thing about? I remember that game. Yeah. This is 2016. It's Isaac Seumalo's first year. He's not a starter, but they used him as an extra offensive tackle.
Wow,
at least 6 or 7 times that game. He came in as the eligible guy, and they just ran it. They would just run it. So he played some OT there, or tight end, if you want to call it, 13 personnel in that game. Wow, but Byron Marshall, I totally forgot about him. I got to give you credit on that one. I forgot.
I thought he's going to be
a little guy. I was thinking Kenyon Barner.
Well, yeah, Barner was a little small, but a little bit more well-built. Talk about a guy who, and you're right, though, about Barner. He was with Carolina, the Chargers. I think he's pretty much done. I don't think I saw him on a roster this year, but West struggled in that game, 22 for 42 and a pick.
Yeah.
But man, wow.
They were down 2 touchdowns, and he led them back.
Okay. Dorial Green back.
27-26.
No, they lost 27-26.
That's what I said. They lost 27-26.
Yeah.
They were down 27 to 17. So they were down 10. Then they got the
Right.
field goal. That's why I thought they were down 2 touchdowns, but they were down 10. They got the field goal. Then Carson rushes for 4-yard touchdown, and Doug goes for 2. I remember he got killed for it, even though the Eagles were
I got 1 for you.
5-8 or something like that.
I got 1 for you here. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's a guy on the Ravens who later played for the Eagles, I think. Didn't Kamar Aiken, wasn't he with the Eagles for a little bit? Am I wrong?
Yeah, he was with the Eagles for a little bit there.
Yeah.
2018. That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing. Mike Wallace and Kamar Aiken. Unbelievable. Former Eagles were on the Ravens.
Jernigan. Who's Donnell Ellerby, who wound up starting middle linebacker in the NFC Championship game?
I know. Was that crazy? He was not. He didn't play in that game. In the
No, I think he was still a Raven that day, right?
Might have been, man. But yeah.
All right, let's
get back. This is fun. I love the reminiscing.
Let's get it back.
Please bear with us, folks. We like to laugh. Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a break. Obviously, we'll mention our friends at PHLSportsNation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you check out all their great content on PHLSportsNation.com and on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. We'll pause real quick now for a word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And if you happen to walk in there to Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You'll get a great deal. All right, before we move on to the defense, a couple of last thoughts on offense, Adam?
Yeah, so Devontae Smith, the notes I got, the route running is really, really good. It's always been good, but he's taken it to another level. The suddenness, crispness, correct footwork. He's just playing in Alabama has got a lot to do with this. When you draft an Alabama receiver, you pretty much know that they're coming in ready to go. Yep. He clearly was ready to go. He's going to need to put on weight. We know that. On the touchdown catch against his former teammate Surtain had his back turned. It was just the one thing I wanted to mention is that 3 quarters into his route, Hurts threw it, and you could see it on the coaching tape if you watch it. He just trusted him to find a way to get open, and he did it with Surtain. He must have thought that Surtain would not look back or whatever, but he threw it there and he got it. And then Quez Watkins' route running also, first time we probably mentioned this, is definitely getting better. I know he dropped a big-time pass from Hurts. It was such a great pass.
It was a nice release, touchdown. Though. It was a nice release to get open.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting to. So he got the same targets in the game as Smith, and obviously would have had a touchdown if he just would have caught it right into his hands on a great route and a great throw. What are you going to do?
Yeah. And again, Jalen Reagor is getting killed for not catching passes that aren't thrown to him. But the one that was thrown to him, he had to come back and make a sprawling catch on. He made a good catch.
Great catch. That was a great 12-yarder. That was an explosive play. Oh, also Jack Stoll shows up in the run game. He walls off very well. He just really angles and walls off. He's very technically sound. He's not the biggest guy in the world, like thickness, but this is exactly what you want in a wide tight end. This is taking that Noah Togiai role well.
Something to be said about how they've been able to block with 12 and 13 personnel a lot better since the trade of Zach Ertz. I mean, I'm not spilling any secrets here. Zach was not the greatest blocker in the world, and I don't know how much of the 12 and 13 they'd be able to do with Zach still on the team and run the ball from a downhill or even a shotgun, but especially downhill formation. I do think that having this personnel suits what they're doing a whole lot more. That's just the reality of the situation.
Well said. No, I'm sure it's just because Zach had gotten better as a blocker, but he's not even close to what Goddard is. And Stoll's actually a guy that does it well. So it's working well, as you were saying earlier. This thing is good. They got it going on. Cannot wait to see what happens on Sunday against the Saints, because the Eagles beat the Saints last year with Hurts. And I'm interested to see what this thing looks like with they're so dominant blocking. And then as you mentioned earlier, they came out in shotgun. What will they do? What will Sirianni give to Dennis Allen, the D coordinator? What because he's been changing it up so well. What will they have this week? I'm really looking forward to it.
Great question. All right. Well, one thing we also wonder is what Jonathan Gannon will do for an encore after a very good defensive performance against the Denver Broncos. You're looking at the tape, Adam, and he's been doing this for a couple of weeks now, mixing up between cover one and cover two and playing a little bit more man coverage and making that. He clearly made Teddy Bridgewater always look to kind of check it down or just not be able to hit that first guy as often as Teddy would like to.
Oh, there's no doubt he held on the ball long. He got stuck in the pocket. This is what you were hoping if you're the Eagles, because you see this on tape, and he gets happy feet or he gets nervous, and he just, as you said, he checks it down. The coverages were so well schemed and executed by the players that Bridgewater is a veteran guy. He's a pretty smart quarterback. He didn't know where to go with the football. D-line wise, they were so disciplined in their rush lanes. Did they get gashed a little bit in the run? A little bit. Williams got them. They had some runs that they get, but I think we've said this all year. You'll give up runs when you're up big and you're not worried about giving up those runs. Of course, Barnett, despite the 2 dumb penalties, he actually had a good game with pressures. Hargrave and Cox got pressures. Don't let the stats fool you. They got pressures up there. Milt Williams, very good POA, point of attack, versus the run. Very strong for a guy who doesn't have the longest arms in the world. He's got great interior quickness. He actually took on some double teams pretty well, I was told. So you're feeling good about that. The linebackers, as we were saying, they got gashed a little bit with the run, but overall they held their own. And tell you where they were a lot better is in coverage. Way better in coverage.
Yeah, to get back to your point on the line, I mean, Hargrave blew up Cushenberry on the play where Barnett got the sack. I mean, it was nice to Derek Barnett get a sack, but the Bridgewater had a drift toward Barnett because Hargrave had basically pushed Cushenberry into the quarterback's lap. So that always helps. So, and this is the part I don't get, because I'm watching the game, rewatching it, and I'm like, where was this against the Chargers defensive line? I mean, Gannon's out there taking bullets as if everything's his fault. And granted, he's done an inconsistent job, but I just don't understand how the right side of the offensive line of the Chargers did not get owned by the Eagles defensive line, but they didn't.
Well, they played a quick game. They got it. Herbert,
Bridgewater
a lot of
played
3-step drops.
Most of his stuff was quick. So what was the difference? That's what.
They definitely won. I'll say this:
they were way more of that. That's what I'm saying. It seemed to me like
they pushed the pocket, a lot. So
more push,
Just understand, sacks are a result of individual plays. Pressures are, quite frankly, they're more important. If you get pressure and you make the quarterback get rid of the ball faster, and this clearly happened in this game. This is a great example of it. You've won. Your D-line won, and they won a lot. This is really good for them. And the linebackers are playing better. Oh, man, the Albert O play, I think it was 57. Edwards just missed the deflection. It was either Singleton or Edwards. I think it was 57. Anyway, you cannot understand. You can see on the coach tape, but someone told me to watch it and see how close it was to being deflected. Literally within 2 inches of being deflected. But two linebackers dove at it and missed it, and then obviously there's no one to cover him. But overall, other than that play, they did a very good job. And my goodness gracious, this I'd have to ask, but this might have been their best coverage game of the season. They were so good and disciplined. And Maddox, for having a bad knee or whatever he did to his knee, did a great job against Judy. Jerry Jeudy, when he didn't have the high ankle sprain, was dominant earlier this season.
Yep.
They just were they did a great job. I got to tell you, Slay is really playing great.
Slay is playing like a Pro Bowler. I agree. I thought Maddox was really physical with Jeudy, hit hard. Even Steven Nelson. It did look like they did play a little bit more up on the corners. Now, I don't know if that's because they didn't fear the speed as much, because Sutton and Patrick are more length guys than speed guys. But for what it worked. What they did worked from top to bottom. You're right. They're always going to get gashed in the run when a team commits to running against them. And by the way, the Broncos have good run. They have good offensive linemen, and they have good running backs. And Javonte Williams is going to be the next great one. I know that.
Yeah, he had a touchdown called back and another run called back. But you know what? Overall, the defense played really well. You got it after all the guff and some from us, the fans, and you and I gave, and Avant and and Q, even Greg in his own Cosell in his own way.
Yep.
For the lack of discipline by the Eagles defense against the Chargers in other weeks. Gannon's getting better, and I keep teaching myself to understand this is a new staff and a first-time play caller. There are going to be significant growing pains. We haven't had to deal with this in 16, and it was Jim Schwartz anyway, and we weren't doing our show then. But Jim Schwartz is an experienced play caller. This guy's not. So there are going to be games where you go, what is this guy doing? He looks clueless. Okay, it happened. There's no doubt. Right. But he's getting better.
No doubt about it. And one thing we'd be remiss if we didn't mention was that because we had talked about it on our Monday pod, something we suspected, and it was confirmed that Marcus Epps is taking some snaps from Anthony Harris. Now that might be because Anthony had the groin and the finger things going on. I don't suspect that it is. I think that they like Marcus Epps as a pass down safety a little bit more than Anthony Harris. So good for Marcus Epps. That's good for him. He's getting more time. I thought he deserved it. I thought he played well against the Lions. Did he play much against the Chargers? I think he did play against the Chargers. I just think Marcus Epps shows you some athleticism and some quickness out there that I haven't seen really out of Anthony Harris as much of out of Anthony Harris.
Well, it's interesting. Harris still played a lot. He still played 84% of the snaps, and it's not like Epps played a lot. But what happened was, and you were alluding to it, there are certain pass situations where he was in. Right. And Cosell talked about this. Greg said on our Sunday show that Epps played against the after Maddox got hurt. He was the nickel corner, and obviously knowing Gannon's defense and Gannon knowing him, he felt like he could do it. Now, as Avanti told us inside the Birds, our interview with him last week, his role is so diverse. They give him a lot of volume and a lot of things to do, and that's not easy for Epps to just come in there cold and have to do this.
Right.
So I got to tell you, this is the most disciplined. I was. Not that we didn't think it was going to be a high-scoring game. I think all of us when we gave our scores, they weren't very high. But I'm just pleasantly surprised, as you said, that they handled the size of the Broncos well. Cortland Sutton, for a big guy, can run.
Oh yeah.
They other than the one play, they just did a very look. You're not going to pitch a shutout. You're just not. These are NFL players. They're very talented.
Right.
They were great, man. Because when you look at the Saints now, I don't want to jinx them, but the Saints do not have a very good receiver core. They're without Michael Thomas, who's out for the season.
Right, but they got some fast guys, though. They definitely have some fast guys.
Deontay Harris, the punt kickoff return, has been a breakout player for them. He's a little guy.
Yep.
Callaway, it's funny. Callaway was undrafted. He didn't time well, but will be a shot play guy. Traquan Smith is a guy who can run a little bit, has some size, but you're not really worried about them. It's just that the Saints have a very good offensive line, and again, we'll get to that matchup. We'll see if Kamara plays, because obviously that tilts the matchups.
Huge.
But overall, coming out of this game, you got to feel really good about the coaches, the buy-in. We just had their 10th game. The Eagles don't have a bye to week 14. And these Eagle fans who are watching, you got to be loving this. It's never going to be perfect. They could certainly lay an egg this next week. We'll see. Yeah. But these coaches are learning, and it's been cool to see.
Absolutely. We will talk more. Real quick, obviously, Kevon Wallace is someone you would hope would take advantage of whatever's going on at safety and get more snaps, but he blocked the punt or the field goal. Yeah. Good on him, but not able to kind of get on the field in this safety rotation. So, we'll see. He's in year 2, maybe next year or at the end of this year, he picks it up a little bit, and they can get a little bit more out of him. But yeah, interesting the way the defense is starting to come along now, and they'll certainly get tested, and we'll talk about that on Friday when we have our Eagles versus Saints preview podcast. That'll do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. Want to give a thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. You can check out his work on YouTube. His channel is called Sports Talk with Broads. He's got a website called broadsmedia.com. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.